When it comes down to people who actually believe they've seen a UFO, or a Mothman with a 10-foot wingspan flapping through the skies, Dr. Cairns points out that monsters can come out of our social relationships, as well as our ids. If your best friend is thoroughly convinced that flying saucers are making terrestrial landings, willy-nilly you're apt to develop an interest in flying saucers too, just from being around him and listening to him talk. You might scoff at first, but once your interest develops, you might as well start going with him to gatherings where a lot of other people believe in and talk about UFOs. You could end up as a believer. It's sort of like turning around the statement, I go to church because I'm religious, and saying, I'm religious because I go to church. The non-believer in monsters who strolled sleepily on his back porch one night and suddenly thinks, Ye gads, I see a Sasquatch, is not immune from society's input either. If he has read or heard of similar monster sightings, and who hasn't, it's easy enough for the mind to convert a dark shadow into a real monster, because people tend to see what they are looking for. There's an element of wishful thinking too. According to Rain Suttles, a professor of anthropology at Portland State University, who has put it this way, when we were little kids we learned about strange creatures and monsters. And then as we grew up, we learned that they weren't real, that we had to give them up. When we find one again, it's like finding your teddy bear in the attic. But nothing irritates the true believer more than science's ability to find rational alternatives for explaining away his beliefs. People who are absolutely genuinely convinced that they have seen some strange beings up to strange tricks, lament that scientists merely ignore the reports, and some become so exasperated that they go in for the old conspiracy theory, the one that runs, scientists deliberately conceal all evidence that might prove upsetting to their own pet theories.